I'm going to talk about foundationless frames here. This is actually one I bought these from Walter T. Kelly with no grooves in them, and I cut a bevel on it. This is a V right here. Can you see the V? It's hard to see in 2 dimensions, and you know, but you see that angle there? That angle is the same on the other side. It's a bevel. I bought them with no grooves in them and then just cut the bevel on it. But now they're selling foundationless frames. You can just buy them from them, and they have cut a bevel. It isn't quite as deep as this. It only goes a little ways across here, but it is a bevel, and it works pretty well. Let's talk about why. I just wanted to show you the picture. But how many of you have ever done wired wax, where you crimped the wires and you embedded the wires and you... Nobody? Wow. It's an extremely tedious, time-consuming process, basically, and you got to buy a bunch of special equipment, or it'll just run you nuts. If you don't get a spooler to handle the wire, then the wire will just be going everywhere. And if you don't build or buy a foundation board that you can lay the frame on that is the right depth to have a board behind the wires so that you can lay the foundation on and embed the wires into the foundation, it doesn't really work very well. And so, and you really need to get a good crimper, and nobody even makes a good crimper. The crimpers they sell are terrible. They're like plastic things that just chew your hands up, and you really should crimp it for 2 reasons. When you crimp if you're going to do foundation, if you crimp the wire, it radiates the stress out through the wax in a way that when it's straight and not crimped, it doesn't do. If it's just straight, it kind of cuts through the wax, but the stress is all in a straight line. And if it's crimped, it radiates that stress out through the foundation. But anyway, I've done that, and it was way too much work. One of the reasons for doing foundationless is it's a whole lot less work. Pretty much, if I have a foundationless frame, if I bought one that already is a foundationless frame, basically I just put it together and I use it, and I'm done. Just 4 pieces, nail it together, and I put it in the hive. And if the wax moths ever eat it up because they went queenless or something, I just scrape it off and put it back in a hive. And I don't even take it back to the house. To me, that's a lot less work. If I use foundation and the wax moths eat it up, I got to take it back to the house and go through the whole process again. Even worse, I got to scrape it out, and then I got to scrape the groove out really good if it's grooved, or pull the wedge off or whatever, and I've got to redo this whole thing. Foundationless is just a lot less work. The other thing I get, though, I get clean wax. And I don't know of another way to get clean wax. If you buy wax foundation, it's already contaminated because everybody's putting poisons in their hives that's contaminating the wax. You've got amitraz, fluvalinate, and coumaphos all building up in the entire wax supply. Right now, the U.S. Cosmetic industry won't buy wax from the United States. They only buy wax from Africa because people in Africa are too poor to treat their bees. And of course, everybody knows if you don't treat your bees, they'll all die. So all those dead bees in Africa produce millions of tons of wax that the cosmetic industry uses. If only we could figure out how to make our dead bees that productive, we'd really be doing well. So pretty much our entire wax supply is contaminated. And so all the foundation you buy is contaminated. And so you start out with contamination in your hive before you ever even get started.